Hello out there, you are welcome to DaveTuts Academy, where we are devoted to building excellence in students, especially when it comes to the basics of the STEM subjects. In our video today, we are going to continue our quest in building excellence in students by looking at all of the 13 questions that are featured in the WAEC 2022 mathematics theory paper, which featured quite a whole lot of questions coming from sequence and series, fractions, algebra, change of subject of formula, circle theorems, triangle, surd, probability. We're going to learn how to reverse engineer when we're working with graph. We're going to be looking at commercial mathematics, statistics, trigonometric function, polygons, mensuration, angle of elevation and depression, and so much more. So this video is actually one of the videos that is featured in our maths exam prep playlist, and you can do it to check a whole lot of other soft playlists, soft past questions that can help you build excellence, ranging from exams from JAMB, UTME, WAEC, NECO, GCSE, and co. So you can do it to just check them out, and we also have the one for physics, and we're also building the one for chemistry. Now it takes a whole lot of effort to actually set up all of these videos just as we do here. I will appreciate if you take your time to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so that you have access to all of our videos as you upload them. You can like the video so that it can help improve our algorithm, and then if you want to say thank you for all the effort that we are putting in, you can actually go ahead and do that for amount that is convenient for you. The amount is going to show in your local currency. This is our local currency that is being featured there, and whatever is convenient for you, we will really appreciate that. And then furthermore, you can join our membership tiers, either level 1, level 2, or level 3. In level 1, you have access to perks that will show that you are a supporter in this channel, and then level 2, you are going to also have those perks in level 1, and furthermore, we are going to be uploading videos that are PDF summary of our video preps, our exam preps, and then short clips that can help you quickly revise all of these videos. Instead of the 2 hours, 3 hours video, you just have maybe like 15 minutes, 10 minutes that we have summarized the whole exam preps. So level 2 will give you access to that, and then level 3 is the ultimate level, in which a lot of people have been asking us, how do you get to make your videos, what are the tools you use, what are the applications you use. And this is where we synergize with you to take you through and walk you through the process of creating our videos exactly in the way that we do, or even if you can improve on the ingenuity, you can do much better than what we are doing. And we believe that all of this effort will help us prepare students for academic excellence and also launch them into a better future that they are longing for. We really appreciate if you get to support us through any of these means, and today our work is cut out for us. So let's head over to our video and solve our questions together. In this question on geometric progression, which is featured from sequence and series, we are told that 7 minus 2x, 9, and 5x plus 70 are consecutive terms of a GP, and the common ratio is greater than 0. We need to note this, okay? Now, our mandate is to find the values of x. Now, if we are given that the common ratio is greater than 0, and we have these terms, generally, we can say that the common ratio is the ratio of the next term to the initial term. So in this case, we can define it as Tn plus 1 over Tn. And in this case, we can see that for this particular case, that means that the common ratio is first and foremost 9 over 7 minus 2x. But if we are also looking at 5x plus 17, we can also say it is 5x plus 17 over the term before it, which is 9. So we have this as defining the common ratio, and for us to just solve this question, we'll do it to just cross multiply here to say that 9 times 9, that is giving us 81, is equal to 7 minus 2x multiplied by 5x plus 17. Okay, so here we still have that 81 is equal to 7 multiplied by 5x is 35x. 7 multiplied by 17, let's bring in our calculator for that. 7 multiplied by 17, this is 119, so we have 119. Then minus 2x multiplied by 5x, we need to be careful here. It is minus 2 multiplying some other thing, so it will still be negative. So we have minus 10x squared. Minus 2 and 5 will give us minus 10. X and x will give us x squared. Then minus 2x times 17 will give us minus 34x. So we still have it as 81 is equal to 35x minus 34x, that will give us x. Then we have plus 119, and we have minus 10s squared. Let's just rearrange to put everything on a single side, so I can bring this and subtract it from both sides, so that I have 10s squared. Now it will become minus x, then minus 119 plus 81 is equal to 0, so that if I want to simplify this, I have 10s squared minus x. Now 119 that we got initially, let me say minus 119 plus 81, what's that going to give us? This is minus 38, so minus 38 is equal to 0. Very good and very interesting. So now we have this quadratic equation that we want to say we want to solve, and calculator can be a quick sheet, but let me just do this. Let me say I have a sum and I have the product. Okay, the sum is the middle term, which is minus x. The product is this first term and the last term. 10s squared and 38 will be minus 380s squared. So I'm looking for two terms that will have their sum as minus x and they have their product as minus 380s squared. Now if the sum is minus x, that is giving me an indication that they have to be consecutive terms, in which the greater number will need to carry the negative sign. That's why the sum can be minus x. Okay, now for 380s squared, coming here 10 and 38, what if I take 2 from 38 and bring it to 10? That will be 20. Then 38, that will be remaining 19. So I can imagine that I have minus 20x and 19x. And of course, look at this. If I'm to add these two, that would definitely be minus x. If I'm to subtract them, if I'm to multiply them, minus 20x multiplied by 19x, x and x will be s squared. Minus 20 and 19, that will be minus 380. Good and fine. So the equation is translating into 10s squared. Instead of minus x as the second term, now I can say minus 20x plus 19x, then the last term minus 38. This is equal to 0. Now I can factor out 10s squared and 20x. 10x is common to both, so here we have x remaining minus 2, so that 10x times x is 10s squared. 10x times minus 2 is minus 20x, and the same is applicable in the second case. 19 is common, we have x minus 2 remaining. Now x minus 2 is common to these two terms, so I can say x minus 2 here, and then here I have 10x remaining, here I have 19 remaining. So this is 0, such that x minus 2 is equal to 0, or I have 10x plus 19 is equal to 0. If I'm to solve this, here x will be 2, or here it will be minus 19 divided by 10. X will be minus 19 over 10. But look at what we were told. We were told initially that see, your r is greater than 0. Okay, this is a big factor for us. And what are the values of r? Is either this or this. Now this is what I want to do. How do I finalize my answer? I think I will do it to just quickly check. You can compute this, put this into the equation and see what it's going to give you. But I just want to make use of the calculator to say, in the first case, I have 9 divided by 7 minus 2x, 7 minus 2x. Okay, yes, I got that right. So I want to check with these values for x. So I'm going to say calc when x is say 2, what's that going to give me? That is 3. That r is 3, so that is greater than 0. Okay, what about when x is minus 19 over 10? So I want to say calculate again. What's the value for x? Minus 19 divided by 10. Okay, so what's that going to give? This is 5 over 6. Definitely that value of r is also greater than 0. Or maybe I want to use this second value for the common ratio. I want to say, okay, I'm not doing that. I want to say I have 5x plus 17. Okay, all those should be in brackets. Okay, so I'm saying all of this divided by 9, and I want to solve it. Okay, this is the initial value that we use for x, minus 19 over 10. So what's that? this is also 5/6, which is still greater than 0. Or if you want to use in the second case 2. So this is quite consistent. That means that for this expected result that r is greater than 0, x is 2 or x is minus 19/10. For that, either of these are going to be correct and will get the values of x as stated. Now, assuming that after testing for any of them, r was not greater than 0, maybe r is equal to 0 or r is less than 0, then we cannot use that value of x for which r will not be greater than 0. So these are things you just need to watch out in your exam. But if you are consistent like this, definitely your full mark will be given and then you'll be on your way to excellence. All right. In this question on ratios and algebra, we're told that two positive numbers are in the ratio 3:4, and the sum of thrice the first number and twice the second is 68. We are to find the smaller number. Okay, so it is the smaller number that is our mandate, and in a bit to maximize time, we will just try and focus only on that. So if you have two positive numbers in the ratio 3:4, let's say those numbers are x, y, and then they being in the ratio 3:4 means that x over y will have to be 3/4. We can simplify this further to say we want to cross multiply and say we have 4x is nothing but 3y. Now, you know, x is our first number. We are asked to find the smaller number. Looking at this ratio, x being the first number is not the criterion for us to just pick it as a smaller number. It is this ratio that, see, x is corresponding to a ratio of 3, while y is corresponding to a ratio of 4. So x is what we are looking for here, all right? But even before we get to that, we have gotten that 4x is 3y. Since x is what we are looking for, we can say, for this case, we can divide both sides by 3, so that in this case, we just have an expression for, y in terms of x, since x is what we are looking for. So we can say, therefore, y is nothing but 4/3x. Okay, I'll just keep that as an equation. And now told that the sum of thrice the first number, thrice the first number means that 3 multiplied by the first number, which is x, and twice the second number, that sum twice means 2y. This sum is nothing but what? 68. So we are to find the smaller number. Now, I took my time to actually make y the sort of the formula because I clarified that we should focus on the smaller number that we are looking for. So here I'm to use y is equal to 4/3x. If I substitute that into this equation, I will have 3x, okay, plus 2. Instead of y now, I have 4/3x is equal to 68. So I can try to say I want to solve this with whatever method I can find suitable, because here I have 3x plus 8x/3 is equal to 68, and here I can say I want to find, let's say I want to find the LCM 3. Now 3x and 3, I have that as 9x plus 8x is equal to 68/1, and again I will have this as 9x plus 8x, that will be 17x is equal to, here cross multiplying, it will be 3 times 68, and what's 3 times 68? We can have that as 204. This is 204, so that if I divide both sides by 17, then x will be 204/17. Okay, so 204/17, our answer divided by 17, what are going to give us? This is 12. X is nothing but 12. Now, I don't need to find the other number because already I can say that my smaller number is x. So if I'm to just work that out, I can say, maybe from originally, I say let the numbers be x and y. Okay, so The numbers being x and y, x is the smaller one as is corresponding to a ratio of 3, y is the larger one as corresponding to a ratio of 4. Now if I still want to find the value of y, I can say to find y, I can just use this to say in that case y will be 4 over 3x, and of course 3 will cut that x, so it will be 4 times 4, which is 16. So I can just say y is 16. But for this case, I don't need that. I'm only asked to find the smaller number, which is 12, and then the answer is out, done and dusted. I don't need to waste my time. Okay. Here in this question, change of structure of formula, we're given that y is this expression pr over m minus p square r raised to power minus 3 over 2. And in the first case, we have to make r the formula and then find the value of r when y is equal to minus 8, m is 1, and p is 3. The very first step, because what we are trying to isolate out is r, and you can see r is here and r is also featured there. So looking at those, we want to work in such a way that r will be standing. That's what it means by making r the formula. And for that, first and foremost, I would just want to multiply the power of both sides by minus 2 over 3, the inverse of this. So here I'm saying this is minus, multiplied by minus 2 over 3, and then y will also be multiplied by minus 2 over 3. Okay, so we are going to have pr over m minus p square r. Okay, the power had been taken care of, is equal to y raised to power minus 2 over 3. So now we can see that r is common in these two cases. Even though p is common, let me just take r, which is my interest of. So I have r into p over m minus p square. Okay, this is equal to y raised to power minus 2 over 3. And then I can just find the LCM here to say r into here m, then I have p minus m p square, okay, is equal to y raised to power minus 2 over 3. So now I can say I want to choose to cross multiply. In that case, r will be m multiplied by y raised to power minus 2 over 3 divided by p minus m p square. So this will be the solution to the option A part of the question. Now in the second part of the question, we are given that y is minus 8, m is 1, and then we have p is 3. We have to find the value for r, and we just got that r will be m, which is 1, multiplied by y, which is minus 8 raised to power minus 2 over 3. This is an interesting piece that we need to look at. Okay, over p is 3 minus m, that is 1, multiplied by p, which is 3 raised to power 2. So let's look at this. Minus 8 raised to power minus 2 over 3. In the first case, when we have the power being raised to a negative number, that means we have 1 over minus 8 raised to power 2 over 3. So the negative of the power have been taken care of. Okay, so now if we have this is telling us that we are looking for a number that if we are to find this cube root. Okay, let me break this down further. This will be 1 over the cube root of minus 8 then raised to power 2. Okay, this is the right expression for this. I'm just leveraging on the understanding of indices and how to break down all those rules from indices. That is what I'm applying here. So for minus 8, what is the cube root of minus 8? A number that we can multiply by itself in 3 places to give us minus 8. You will discover that it is minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2 that will give us minus 8, because minus 2 times minus 2 is 4 plus 4. 4 times minus 2 is minus 8. So that means in this bracket the answer is minus 2, but then when we raise that minus 2 raised to power 2, it itself it is 4. So this is nothing but 1 over 4. I think the student to get to understand is that this particular expression is nothing but 1 over 4. So if we want to put in those values into r, we are going to say r will be The first one, 1 multiplied by this whole expression we have gotten to be 1 over 4. So 1 over 4, then over 3 minus 1 times 3 raised to power 2 is 1 times 9, which is 9. So we have this as the numerator is 1 over 4 over 6. Okay, this over 6 is something we should be careful of, because this is telling us that r is nothing but 1 over 4. Okay, not 6, minus 6. 3 minus 9 is minus 6. 1 over 4 divided by minus 6. And if we are having something like this, of course, we know that that means we are saying times 1 over minus 6. So 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times minus 6 is minus 24. Or we can just write it out holistically to say this is nothing but minus 1 over 24. So this is going to be the value of r when y is minus 8, m is 1, and p is 3. We just need to take note of this so that we don't make mistake there. And once we are able to get this as 1 over 4, we can proceed and get our answer as appropriate. In this question on mensuration of a circle, we are told that a chord subtends an angle of 72 degrees at the center of a circle of radius 24.5 meters. We have to calculate the perimeter of the minor segment. So to effectively tackle this question, we need to understand all of these terminologies that are being used here. What does it mean that a chord is subtending an angle at the center of a circle with radius, and then what is the minor segment? So a pictorial view will really help us if we have this as our circle in question in this particular case, and we have to look at the minor segment. The minor segment is the region that is actually shaded here. Okay, so we have this chord that is subtending an angle. So this is the chord. If I can call that, let me say I call it chord AB. So running from A to B here, that is the chord of this particular circle. Now, meaning that it's subtending an angle of 72 degrees at the center, we mean that what we are looking at here, this angle, that is 72 degrees. Okay, so we can apply that to say this is nothing but 72 degrees, but I'll just come to that later. Then the circle is of radius 24.5 meters. The radius is from the circumference of the circle to the center of the circle, and since from A to center O of the circle and O to center B of the circle, they are both constituting the radius of the circle, so each one of them is 24.5 meters, and this is also 24.5 meters. Okay, so we need that understanding first and foremost. So we now want to calculate the perimeter of the minor segment. That means it is this length AB on the straight line and this length of arc AB, because the perimeter is going to add all of the sides of that segment. So it will be the addition of this length AB, which is the length of the chord, and to the length of the arc AB, this curve here. That is what we are looking for. So we can say perimeter of the minor segment. Okay, let me just write minor. Perimeter of the minor segment in this case is going to give us nothing but the length of the chord AB plus the length of the arc AB. So what we need to find is twofold. First, this length AB and then the arc AB. And we're told that this angle is 72. Now, for us to look at the length of the chord AB first, we can see that looking at this particular, okay, there are quite a number of ways that we can even say we want to look at. First, we can say we want to divide this triangle into two, in which this will be a right angle triangle, and then we can look at this. 72 have been divided into 2 already, then half of it will be 36. So we know this angle 36. We have this side, which is the hypotenuse, the longest, 24.5, and then we are looking for this. If I can call this, let's say this is x, then this is also going to be x, because this straight line is dividing the length AB, the chord AB, into 2 equal parts. So I can say that and use calculator to solve that. But is that the only way for which you can actually solve this? That's not the only way. I can also see that you are seeing this triangle, okay, and then as we are looking at the triangle, we have this angle here that we have identified as 72 degrees. And of course, we can use either the sine rule or the cosine rule to find the length AB. Okay, now I want to use the cosine rule because I know that in this case, since I have AOB, this will be A, this side is facing A, B, this will be B, this side facing O is AB, so this is O, this O length is AB now. So now maybe you can try the trigonometric part that I just showed. I want to make use of this, and you see that we're going to arrive at the same answer. I can say by the cosine rule, the length AB, in short, the square of AB is going to be A square plus B square minus 2AB cos the angle, which is 72 degrees. Okay, so I can say it is cos theta degree. Okay, and for this theta, it is 72. A is 24, B is 24.5, B is also 24.5. So I can just say, let me appropriately label it, called AB raised to power 2 is going to be A square 24.5 square plus B square 24.5 square minus 2AB. 2AB is also 24.5 raised to power 2. Okay, cos what? Cos 72. Okay, so I can say I want to input this into the calculator to say I have 24.5 raised to power 2 plus 24.5 raised to power 2 minus 2 multiplied by 24.5 raised to power 2. Okay, cos 72. So what's that going to give me? 829.525. 829.525. So I have it that called AB in that case is going to be square root of 829.525. 829.525. Okay, so what's that going to give me? So the square root of the answer I just got, this is 28.8. so this is 28.8 meters. Student, please don't use this method. You know, that's why I said we should just walk along. Try and divide this into 2. Okay, then use your trigonometry identity. This will be 36. Okay, and then you can find here x, and that we also amount that this is also x, and the addition of these two, you are going to see that is going to give you 28.8. just try that out and let's have the feedback of how it goes. You can leave it in the comment section so that we can see that truly you are following along. Okay, so now that is the chord AB, but we also have the length of arc AB. So for that length of arc AB, we know that the length of arc AB is theta over 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. Okay, and what is our theta? We know that already. That is 72 over 360 multiplied by 2 multiplied by pi. Pi is 22 over 7 multiplied by our r is 24.5. so we can also find the length of arc AB to say that's going to be, again, our calculator here, we have 72 divided by 360. Okay, multiplied by 2 times 22 over 7. Okay, I could as well just use pi for that, then multiply by 24.5. so what's this? This is 30.8. so this is 30.8 meters, such that, like we're looking at originally, the perimeter of the minor segment is going to be this length of chord AB that we got as 28.8 plus the length of the arc AB that we got as 30.8, and that's going to be 58, that's 59.6 meters. So just try this also, you will discover that you are going to arrive at the same answer. But very, very key for us is to note that this is the formula that we first need to understand that the perimeter of this minor segment will need to be the addition of the length of the chord AB to the length of the arc AB, and shaded in blue here is that minor segment as requested. All right. Okay, here's a beautiful question on circle theorems, okay, in which we need to bring in our ingenuity of understanding of circle theorem to solve it effectively as appropriate. So we are told that in this diagram, BCD is a circle with center A, then the angle BCD is given as this, angle BAD is given as this, angle BED is given as this, and ADC is this, just as shown in the diagram. Now, this is how you identify these angles. ADC, for example, we have ADC, so this angle is 40. So that's how you just identify all of them. Our mandate is to find the values of X and Y and to find the angle ABC. So in the first case, for us to look for the value of X and Y, that means that we are looking for two unknowns, and to effectively solve for two unknowns, we need at least two equations. So we need to formulate from our understanding of circle theorems two equations in X and Y that will help us to solve this particular first question that we are being asked in this question. So let's look at this diagram. First, I can see that I have this angle 2y plus 10 and this angle 2x plus 40 facing each other, and since already we are being given the values for all those, I can say in the first case 2y plus 10 plus 2x plus 40, the addition of the two is 180 degrees. Why am I saying that? Is because they are opposite angles of cyclic quadrilateral, and in circle theorems we are given that opposite angles of cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. Supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. Once I'm able to state that, I'm good and fine. So I can open up this bracket, just solve it that, okay, I love to write x first, so I have 2x plus 2y. Now 10 plus 40 is 50. If I subtract 50 from both sides, that will be 180 minus 50. Okay, so I can have 2x plus 2y is equal to 180 minus 50 is 130. Okay, so to bring it to its barest minimum, I can divide all through by 2 to say x plus y. I'm dividing each of the terms by 2, will be 130 over 2 is 65. So I have this as equation 1. Recall, I was saying that for us to effectively solve this, we need two equations. So we have one already. What else can we see? What else can we say? We are saying that for this angle BAD and this angle BED, actually there's a relation between them, because BAD is the angle at the center of the circle, while BED is the angle at the circumference of the circle. And in that particular case, we can say angle BED is half of angle BAD, or we can say angle BAD is 2 times angle BED. So I want to say angle BAD, which is 5x minus 35, okay, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 2y plus 10. And why am I saying that? Is because angle subtended at center of circle is twice angle subtended at the circumference. Okay, so I'm just using shorthand here. I trust that you understand the statement that I'm making. So I'm postulating this, that 5x minus 35 is 2 times 2y plus 10, because angle subtended at the center of the circle is equal to 2 times angle subtended at the circumference of the circle by a chord. So BD in this case will be the chord. Okay, so you can say by a segment, BD will actually see refer to that segment that we're talking about. So yeah, that means we have let's open up the bracket also. 5x minus 35 is equal to 2 times 2y is 4y, 2 times 10, that is 20. So if you collect like terms, we have 5x minus 4y is equal to 20. When minus 35 is added to both sides, it will take care of this minus 35. On the right hand side, it will be 20 plus 35. So this will be 55. So again, I can say I have this as equation 2. Now, these are not the only means to go about it. And students, that is where you really need to grill in, work, so that you can see how best to solve this type of questions. But for me, I think these are sufficient. You can look for the other methods. You may not necessarily use this because there are even quite a number of other ways. Let me also leave that to your intuition for you to discover, so that you can build your muscle of proficiency on your path to excellence. So I have these two equations now, and I can choose to solve them simultaneously. Solving them simultaneously will help me to effectively find the solution to x and y as we are being told. In the first case, x plus y is 65. In the second case, 5x minus 4y is 55. So we are going to be working with that now. Okay, so these are the equations I want to solve, and you can choose to use whatever method you are finding comfortable. I will just want to use elimination. So I can say equation 1, if I multiply equation 1 multiply by, let's say, 4, okay, then in that case I'm going to have 4x plus 4y is going to be 65 times 4 will be 130 times 2, that will be 260. Okay, so I can take this as equation 3. So after having done that, I can say I'm looking at this, that I'm having equation 2 and equation 3. I can see that this is minus 4y, this is 4y. If I'm to add equation 2 and 3, equation 2 plus equation 3, then I will have 5x plus 4x, that will be 9x, minus 4y plus 4y will just be that they are knocking themselves out. This and this will just knock out, so I don't need them again. Then is equal to 55 plus 260, that will be 315. Okay, such that x itself will be 315 over 9. So what's 315 over 9? 315 divided by 9, so that's 35. X is 35 degrees. Now students, you may choose not to use this elimination method. You can use substitution method to say x is equal to 65 minus y, and use that in this particular equation. You will discover that you are going to arrive at the same answer. Okay, but for me this is quite good. Now, having gotten x, I can say from equation 1, x plus y is 65, y will be 65 minus x. So I can say y is nothing but 65 minus the value of x, 35, and that is going to give me 30 degrees. So looking for the values of x and y, I can say therefore the solution is that x is 35 degrees and then y is 30 degrees, and that effectively solved this question for me as requested. Okay, so now for the second part of the question, we're asked to find angle ABC. Now to get angle ABC, we are already using x and y as a variable. Let me say I'm calling this M. Okay, let's identify that angle. It is ABC. This angle here, that's what we are looking for. So I can say, let me just shade it for the sake of identification, and then in shading it, I can label it that I'm tagging it as M already. Okay, so that's angle M for me. Now I'm looking at this quadrilateral ABCD, and I know that the sum of angles of quadrilateral is 360 degrees, just like a rectangle or a square, which is constituted of 4 right angles. In short, if you recollect n minus 2 multiplied by 180, for this quadrilateral, a polygon with 4 sides, it is 4 minus 2, which is 2 times 180, and that is 360. So I know that the sum of angles of this quadrilateral is 360 degrees, meaning that if I'm to add this angle at A to the one at B to the one at C to the one at D, all of them should be 360. So in that case, I can say sum of angles of quadrilateral is actually nothing but 360 degrees. Therefore, okay, let me even say quadrilateral ABCD, particularly here, is going to be 360 degrees. That means I can say that 5x minus 35, okay, that's the angle at A, plus the angle at B, which is M, plus the angle at C, 2x plus 40, plus the angle at D, 40 degrees. The addition of everything is going to be 360 degrees. But if you recollect from our initial solution, we have gotten the value of x and y, that x is nothing but 35, while y was gotten as 30. But y is not even reflecting here at all. We only have x, so we can just say 5 multiplied by 35 minus 35 plus, now our unknown is m, okay, plus 2 multiplied by 35, okay, plus 40, then again plus this other 40. Everything is going to give us 360 degrees. So we can just bring in our calculator to try and solve this now. So we can have 5 times 35, that's 175 minus 35, that's minus this 35, that is 140, plus 2 times 35 is 70, plus 70, then this 40 and 40 is 80, plus 80, that's equal to 290. So I have m plus 290 is equal to 360 degrees. So if I'm to subtract 290 from both sides, m will be 360 minus 290, and that's going to give me 70 degrees. Okay, so angle ABC, which we are asked to find now, which I've denoted as m, is nothing but 70 degrees. So students, this is as good as it gets. We just use our understanding of the circle theorems, we applied them in this particular question, and eventually we got all of the questions that were being asked, that x is 35, y is 30, and the angle ABC is nothing but 70 degrees. In this question on trigonometry and surd, we are given that m is tan 30, n is tan 45, and we are to simplify without using the calculator m minus n over mn, leaving the answer in this particular form, p plus root q. So for us to be able to solve this question, you need to have a very good grasp of your trigonometry ratio. And for DaveTuts Academy, we have a particular video that we have taken time, just about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, to demystify how you can get this on the fly, that you don't even need to cram it at all. It's quite easy. You can do it to check that video so that you get to know how to arrive at all these trigonometry ratio of common angles. Now, so if we are to employ our understanding of what we have here, we are going to see that m is nothing but tan 30. In this particular case, tan 30 is 1 over root 3, okay, and then n, which is tan 45, is nothing but 1. So n is 1, such that what we're asked to get, m minus n over mn, this will inherently mean m is 1 over root 3 minus n, which is 1, divided by mn will be 1 over root 3 multiplied by n, which is 1. So this is what we need to work with. And here in this particular case, we can say for the numerator, we want to find the LCM. So we have root 3 as the LCM. This will be 1. Then 1 over 1, when we want to bring in root 3, we mean that we're having it as minus root 3, so that root 3 over root 3 is 1, okay. Then the whole denominator will be 1 over root 3 times 1, which is 1 over root 3. So here we can say we want to break this down as 1 minus root 3 divided by root 3, okay. Now this division will be divided by 1 over root 3, but we know if we want to solve this, we need to reverse and turn this to multiplication. So I can just say that means what I'm having is multiplied by root 3 over 1, and this is as good as it gets. You can see that root 3 will cut out, such that this is going to be nothing but 1 minus root 3. So the solution to this, to evaluate m minus n over mn, is quite simple, but we just need to have that knowledge of what tan 30 is and what tan 45 is without using the calculator. So just check out the video on that trigonometry issue and you'll be good and fine, and subsequently you'll be able to solve this question on the fly. This question is combining set theory, Venn diagram with probability, and we'll do it to pay attention to what they're asking us here. We're told that there are 20 women in a bus and 15 of them wear glasses and 10 wear wristwatches. So if a woman is choosing at random from the bus, we have to find the probability that she wears both glasses and wristwatch. Already, if you are not talking about probability, you will know that this is a question, a very typical question that is being featured from set theory. And for us to actually solve it, we will be making use of the Venn diagram. So let's have a look at what the Venn diagram is going to look like. So we have this particular diagram in which already we have been told that the total number of women is 20. Some are wearing glasses, some are wearing wristwatches. Now we are told that 15 of them wear glasses, so here is just 15, okay, and then 10 of them wear wristwatches, so 10 are wearing wristwatches. But there is a set of women that are wearing glasses and also wearing wristwatches, so we can call that X. Since the whole of those that are wearing glasses is 15 and now X is being taken out of it, then glasses only will be 15 minus X, and the same thing for wristwatches. Wristwatches only will be 10 minus X. So the combination of all this is going to give us 20. We are doing this because for us to get the probability of those wearing both glasses and wristwatch, that will be this particular region common to both of them. This is the region for those wearing both glasses and wristwatch, and then we will say that number, we can divide it with the total number of women, which is 20, for us to get that probability. So we need to get those who are wearing both glasses and wristwatches. So from here, if we want to just solve for X, we can add all of these entries and equate them to the total number of women, which is 20. So in that case, we have 15 minus X plus X plus 10 minus X. Everything is going to give us 20. And this is coming from the general set equation that for cases like this, we have the number of glasses plus the number of wristwatches minus the number of glasses intersect wristwatches is equal to the number of glasses union wristwatches. Okay, so it's deriving exactly from here, and you see that this will eventually land into that, because if we want to simplify this, we can say this minus X and this plus X, they are going to take care of themselves, so that what we have is just 15 plus 10 minus X is equal to 20. So you can see directly number of glasses is 15, number of wristwatches is 10, minus the intersection of the two, which is X, is equal to 20. So we can try and solve this. 15 plus 10 is 25. So we have 25 minus X is equal to 20, such that if we change the position in X to be 25 minus 20, and that is equal to 5. Okay, so that is the number of those wearing both glasses and wristwatches. So you can say number of those wearing both glasses and wristwatches is equal to 5. Then already we have the number, the total number of women is 20. In this particular case, the probability for those wearing glasses and wristwatches is equal to the number of those wearing glasses and wristwatches over the total number that we have in this particular case, and that will be 5 over 20. And if you want to just cut, you can say 5 can go here, 1, 5 in 24. So the probability for women wearing glasses and wristwatches in this particular question is nothing but 1 over 4. It is our understanding of set theory that really helped us to interpret this and find the probability as we are requested to find. Now this question is going to be quite interesting, because students, this is not just going to be testing your understanding of being able to work on graph. You need to really understand how graphs are being plotted and the features that you are going to be seeing on the graph. So let's look at this question together. So we are told that this particular graph is showing the relation of the form y is mx squared plus nx plus r, where mn and r, they are constant. Now using the graph, first we have to state the scale used on both axes. So let's start with that. The scale for this particular graph, look at this graph critically. You can see that from, let me take here. Okay, let me just take here. from here to here. These are the tick boxes that are featured here on the graph, and those tick boxes is just 2 centimeters. So that is for the x-axis. For the y-axis, we will have it like, okay, I can use here. That is for the y-axis, and that is the 2 centimeters for the y-axis. Now, what they're asking us when they're saying that what is the scale is that what is 2 centimeters representing on the x-axis and what is 2 centimeters representing on the y-axis. If you look at this, for x-axis here on the horizontal, we can see that 2 centimeters is taking values from 0 to 2. So 2 centimeters is representing 2 units on the x-axis. We can say 2 centimeters represents 2 units on the x-axis, and this is how to just write it out, okay? And then on the y-axis, you can see that the values from the set of 2 tick boxes is 0 to 10, okay? Is that you can measure in the positive direction is 0 to 10, or you can even take the scale downwards. It is consistent, so it is the same thing. So you can say on the same case, 2 centimeters also represents 10 units now on the y-axis. So if you are able to state that, you are good and fine, and for the very first question, your marks will be good and fine. Now I will clear my board to look at the second question, finding the values of m, n, and r, okay? So now in this second part of the equation, this is where it gets interesting. We have to find the values of m, n, and r. But if you look at this particular curve, we'll see that the curve is cutting the x-axis at -2 and 4, and that is where we regard as the roots of the equation, so that we can say x is equal to -2, or we can say x is equal to 4. So these two, we can work on them to reverse engineer in such a way that we can get our quadratic equation as appropriate. So in the first case, we can add 2 to both sides, so that we have x plus 2 is going to be -2 plus 2, which is 0. Or we can subtract 4 from both sides, so that on the right hand side we have 4 minus 4, and that will be 0. Now these two we can combine together to say we have x plus 2 multiplying x minus 4, and that product will be 0, such that if you open the bracket, we have s squared, then x multiplied by -4 is -4x, 2 multiplied by x is 2x, 2 multiplied by -4 is -8, that is 0. And if we simplify, we have x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now the question is that, can this be the equation that we are looking for? That is not the equation. This is because student, this is where you really need to understand your quadratic graph, particularly if it's going to be a maximum, as in this case, or conversely if it's going to be a minimum. Here, this is a maximum. You can see that it's having a maximum value at here, and that is at 9. That is the maximum value, okay? So in that particular case, the rule of thumb is that the coefficient of s squared must be negative, okay? So the coefficient of s squared should be negative, because this is a curve that has a maximum value, okay? Since it has a maximum value, in that case you can say we multiply all through with -1. Therefore our equation will be -1 multiplying all of this. -1 times s squared will be minus s squared, -1 times -2x will be plus 2x, -1 times -8 will be plus 8, is equal to 0. So this is what we need to compare with the equation that we have, ms squared plus nx plus r is equal to y, okay? If we are doing that, we can see that readily m will be -1, okay, and n will be 2, and finally r will be 8. So these are the things that we need to take note of for us to be able to solve this question as appropriate, and I think you should do this as an exercise for the second derivative. Whenever it is greater than or equal to 0, what we are going to have is a minimum curve, okay? Whereas if the second derivative, if it is less than 0, this is a maximum curve. So students, take this particular equation that we just arrived at, okay? Take that equation, find the second derivative, put in the value of x, put in the value of y, and see what you are going to get. But here, I'm just going to confirm with you with the scientific calculator so that it will demystify whatever doubt you have on your mind. So let me check with the scientific calculator. The equation we have is this, and we'll see how that goes now. So if I were to bring in our calculator, let me just use the equation mode, which is in 5 under mode, and then we're looking at a quadratic that is of degree 2, that's corresponding to 3. Now we want to look at the coefficient of s squared, the coefficient of x, and the constant c. So we are first going to use this equation, this one here, which I'm saying that cannot be the equation in this particular case. So the coefficient of s squared is 1. Then for b, that is minus 2, which is coefficient of x, and then for c, that is minus 8. So you can say this calculator, try and solve this for us. Okay, very good. It's telling us that one of our root is 4, which is consistent with what we have, and the other one is minus 2. Okay, but let's move further. Now it's saying that look at this, the minimum value for this particular curve is occurring at the point where x is 1. Now it's already telling us it's a minimum value, and you can see here 1 is between 0 and 2, which is going here, but what we're having here is what? A maximum value. But interestingly, let's just check on if that is the point where we're having the minimum value. What is that minimum value? Look at this. It's saying that minimum value for y is minus 9. So that means this is the point that is regarding as the minimum value, and in that case the curve will be coming something like this. Okay, so that being said, let's now look at the equation that eventually I'm postulating that this is going to be the solution to this question here, this particular equation. So we go into our calculator to say, okay, now we just want to change the values of those input that we have initially. Instead of 1 as coefficient of s squared, we now have minus 1, and then instead of minus 2, we have 2 as coefficient of x, and instead of minus 8 as c, we have 8 as c. And then let's see, interestingly, yes, our first root is 4, good. Our second root is minus 2, and that is how it's going to be. But look at this. Now it's telling us that the maximum value is occurring at the point where x is 1, and here it is here that x is 1. But what is that maximum value? Interesting and good. It's saying that maximum value is 9, which is what our graph is depicting here. So students, you just need to know this so that you can get to the root of the question. If you stop here and you say that your m is 1, your n is minus 2, and your r is minus 8, you are not going to get that as the solution to this question. So that is the technicality here, and I'm sure that so many people are going to miss it. But now you know, so that if you are facing this kind of question in your exam, you'll be good and fine, you'll get your work done and dusted, and then you'll be on the path to excellence. So let's move on to our next question after this. Okay, so in moving ahead to solve for question C, we have to find the gradient of the line through P and Q. Let's look at P and let's look at Q. Q is quite easy because it's sitting exactly in the middle between 2 and 4 and between 10 and 0. So you can see that this is Q, and that will be 3 directly between 2 and 4, and then on the y-axis it is directly between 0 and 10, and then that is nothing but 5. Okay, that's interesting. But now when it comes to P, now let's be careful here, because we can see that yes, on the x-axis P is directly on minus 5, but look at the y-axis, it's between minus 20 and minus 30, but this is minus 25. How many boxes are we seeing that are going down to P? After this 5, we still have 1 and we have 2. Okay, so that is minus 27. So you also need to know how to read off your graph in order to get this question particularly. I can read that P is nothing but the value for x is minus 5, the value for y is minus 27, and then Q, the value is on the x it is 3, and on the y it is 5. So it is the gradient for the line through these 2 points that we are actually looking for, and we can say that the gradient in that particular case, the gradient of the line PQ is generally given as the difference in the y-axis over the difference in the x-axis. Now you can take anyone as your 2, you can take anyone as your 1, you just need to be consistent. Okay, so for me, I want to take Q as 2 because we are actually even moving from P to Q, from the negative to the positive axis. So I can say in this particular case, the gradient of the line joining point P and Q is going to be y2 will be 5 minus y1 is minus 27. Please don't forget your negative sign. Okay, x2 is 3 minus x1 is minus 5. So again, we didn't forget that negative sign, it is minus 5. So 5 minus 27 will become 5 plus 27, that will be 32. Or let me just write it out straight first. So this will be 5 plus 27, and then in the denominator it will be 3 plus 5, such that that gradient of the line joining point P and Q will be 5 plus 27, that is 32. 3 plus 5, that is 8. So 32 over 8 is nothing but 4. So the gradient of the line joining P and Q, or we can say the gradient of the line through P and Q, is nothing but 4. Okay, then we can move on to the final question. Here in this particular question, we are asked to state the range of values of x for which y is greater than 0. So where is the region in which y is greater than 0? If we are to look at that, the range of values for which y is greater than 0, this is y and this is 0, this is 0 for y. Okay, so it is this particular place that I'm shading in green. Those are the points where we have y to be greater than 0. Okay, in the other case, you can see y is actually less than 0. So we are being asked to find the range of values of x that is starting here and ending here, but there is actually a way that we need to state this particular request that they are asking us. Okay, it is for which y is greater than 0. I didn't mean that they say y is greater than or equal to 0, then we could have said it is starting from minus 2, and then it will be minus 2 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. But that's not what we are being asked. We are just being asked for which y is greater than 0. So that range we need to put in the appropriate format to say the range is nothing but, this is how you actually write it, that you define it as x in such a way that minus 2 is less than x and it is less than 4. So once you can place it in this particular case, your full mark is assured and you are good to go and find as appropriate. In this question on commercial mathematics, we are told that a man purchased 180 copies of a book at 250 naira each. Now he sold y copies at 300 naira each and the rest at a discount of 5 kobo in the naira of the cost price. So students, we need to be able to understand what is meant by 5 kobo in the naira of the cost price for us to be able to effectively solve this question. Okay, now if you made a profit of 7,125 naira, we are to get the value of y. Good and quite interesting a question. Now let's break down what we are being told. Initially, we are told that he purchased 180 copies at 250 naira. So if you want to get the total cost price for the man, we are going to say it is the number of books, which is 180, multiplied by the price of each one, which is 250. Okay, and if we do that, and we are going to use our calculator for that, we can say 180 multiplied by 250, so that is 45,000. So this is nothing but 45,000. So that is the total cost price for the man. Okay, now before we look at the matter of his selling price, since we are talking about profit here, okay, before we look at the matter of his selling price, let's try and get this discount of 5 kobo to discount of 5 kobo in the naira. Okay, what is our understanding of this? Ideally, we know that 100 kobo is equivalent to 1 naira. Okay, so if you are talking about discount of 5 kobo, that means we are reducing that 100 kobo by 5 kobo. So we have 100 minus 5 kobo, and that 100 minus 5 kobo is nothing but 95 kobo. Okay, so 95 kobo to the naira will mean that to 100 kobo, which is the naira. Okay, so this is discount in the naira, but then we are talking or this discount of the cost price. And what is the cost price? 250. So the discount of the man will be this particular 95 kobo to the naira multiplied by 250 naira. We need to just understand this for us to get this question, otherwise we are going to miss it. Okay, now let's look at his selling price. Now since we have gotten his cost price, we can now look at the selling price to say that he sold Y copies at 300 naira each. Then the price for that will be 300 multiplied by the number of copies, which is Y. So we can say that is 300 Y. Okay, but that's not all. Y out of 180 will mean that there is 180 minus Y remaining. Consider what we are being told. The total number of books is 180. Okay, now he had sold Y at 300 naira, so the remaining will be 180 minus Y. But how much is he selling them? He's selling them at this particular price. Okay, that is the price that is selling the remaining. So we can say it is 95 over 100, a discount of 5 kobo to the naira multiplied by that 250 naira, which is the price that he used to purchase it, his cost price. Okay, so this is what we now need to just open up, break down to say our cost price is going to be nothing but 300Y plus, now let's evaluate this. I can say this is 180 minus Y multiplied by the answer here, that is 95 divided by 100 multiplied by 250. Okay, so this is 475 over 237.5. so this is 237.5. so we can say we want to open our bracket. This will be 300Y. now we have 180 multiplied by 237.5 and minus Y multiplied by 237.5. I want to do the Y first, so I have minus 237.5Y. this minus Y multiplied by this, then plus 180 multiplied by this. Okay, so let me use my calculator. This my answer multiplied by 180, so that's 42,750 plus 42,750. We can still break this further down. Okay, we can say this is going to be nothing but 300 minus 237.5. 300 minus 237.5, that's what this is, 62.5. so we can say that the selling price is nothing but 62.5Y plus 42,750. so students, we got this to be our selling price, we have this as our cost price. What is our profit? We know that profit, when we are talking about commercial mathematics, is nothing but the selling price minus the cost price. Had it been that we are talking about loss, we would have been talking about cost price minus selling price. But since he made profit, that means the rate at which he sold the goods, his selling price is greater than his cost price. So looking at what we have, the profit we are giving us 7,125 is equal to the selling price we got as 62.5Y plus 42,750. that is the selling price. Okay, let me put it in bracket. Okay, minus the cost price we got as 45,000. Okay, so we can say we just want to simplify this, and we have 62.5Y standing alone, then 42,750 and 45,000. we can evaluate that. Let me bring in a calculator. So we can say 42,750 minus 45,000. Now minus 2250 minus 2250, such that if we rearrange, I can have 62.5Y is going to give me 7125 plus 2250. Okay, so 62.5Y is going to be, let's sum this, 7125 plus 2250, 9375, so that to get y, I can divide both sides by 62.5. So this also by 2.5, and if I'm to do that, this we have y only remaining, and then the answer we just got divided by 62.5, that's going to give 150. So y is 150. The number of books that is sold at 300 naira was given as y, so that number of books is nothing but 150, and this is as good as it gets. But yeah, just understanding our concept of this discount of 5 kobo on the naira is the key factor here. If we cannot understand that and evaluate it appropriately, we are going to miss this question. But once you follow this step, you are good and fine, and your full mark is assured. In this question on commercial mathematics, we are told that a trader bought X bags of rice at a cost C is 24x plus 103 and sold them at a price S is 33x minus S squared over 20. We have to find the expression for the profit, and if 20 bags of rice were sold, we have to calculate the percentage profit. In the first case, we are given the cost price C and the selling price X. We have to find the expression for the profit. We need to know that profit is actually selling price, which here we are given as S, minus cost price, which here we are given as C. So for us to evaluate it, let's just substitute. The selling price is 33x minus S squared over 20. That is the selling price minus the cost price, we are given as 24x plus 103. If we can express this linearly, we'll be good and fine, and then we'll find that profit as appropriate. So this will be for the x, we are seeing that this is 33x, this is minus 24x. So 33x minus 24x minus S squared over 20. Then what is remaining? We have this minus 103 minus 103. 33x minus 24x, I think that is 9. So we can say P that we're asked to find is 9x minus S squared over 20 minus 103. So that is the solution in the first case. In the second case, we are asked that if 20 bags of rice was sold, so what is that translating into? We are already told that is the number of bags that we regard as X. So here we are saying X is nothing but 20. Therefore, we can look at first the profit. That's going to be 9 multiplied by 20 minus 20 raised to the power 2 over 20 minus 103. Now 9 multiplied by 20 is 180. So here we can cut, it will remain only 20. So we have 180 minus 20 minus 103. That's 180 minus 123. And I think that will be 57. So the profit for this one is 57. So once we have P as 57, which is the profit, we can talk about the percentage profit, which is going to be the selling price minus the cost price, and already we identify that as profit. So we don't need to say selling price minus cost price again. We can just say that is nothing but the profit, okay, divided by the cost price C multiplied by 100%. Now for us to solve this, we can just record that C was given as 24x plus 1 over 3. So we can say, but our C is going to be 24x will be 24 times 20 minus, okay, not minus, plus 103. 24 times 20, that is 480, plus 103, that is nothing but 583. Okay, so if that is the case, then we can say that conclusively our percentage profit will be the profit, which is 57, over the cost price, which we just evaluated to be 553 multiplied by 100%. Okay, that is going to give us, let's use our calculator now, 57 divided by 583 times 100. Okay, this is 9.77. So we can approximate it to be 9.78. So that is 9.78 percentage as the percentage profit if 20 bags of rice were sold. All right. In this question on statistics, which is featuring the pie chart, we are being told that the table shows the monthly expenditure, but it is in percentage of Mr. Okafor's salary. So we have all of this listed. First, we are to calculate the percentage of Mr. Okafor's salary that was put into savings. Now, ideally, if you are looking at this question A, we know that when we are talking about percentage, we should sum up to 100. So 100 is the grandiose scale for which we are considering whenever we are talking about percentages. Okay, and now since we have all of this, but we have this as unknown x, if we add everything, they should sum up to 100. So we can say in this case 35. Therefore, we have 35 plus 7.5 plus 10 plus 15 plus 17.5 plus x, which is amounting to the part of Mr. Okafor's salary that went into savings. Okay, everything is going to be 100. So we can just use our calculator to add all of this. Okay, so we have 35 plus 7.5 plus 10 and 15 is 25. 25 plus 17.5, that's equal to 85. So we have all of this as 85 plus x is 100. Therefore, x is going to be 100 minus 85, and that is nothing but 15%. So we can say that the percentage put into savings, which is s, that is x, is nothing but 15%. And with that, we've gotten this question. We need to move on to the next one, which is to illustrate the information on a pie chart. So here we have the table that will help us to convert these percentages into degrees, because if we are working in degrees, instead of using a linear scale of 100 when it comes to the percentage, for the pie chart we are working with degrees, and we know that the sum of angles at a point is going to be 360 degrees. So we are going to scale each of the percentages into the degree equivalent of its value, and then that's what we are going to use to locate the region and plot the region where it's going to take on this particular pie chart. The amount for savings, the percentage for savings, we just got to be 15. So we can calculate this. And how do we go about that? Since this is in percentage, but we want to scale it to 360, what we do is that we prorate it 35 over 100 and multiply by 360 degrees. The same thing we do to the other ones. 7.5 over 100 times 360, then 10 over 100 times 360. This is quite straight. 10 here 1, 10 in 10 is 10, 10 in 100 is 10, then 360 over 10, this will be 36 degrees. Okay, for the rent we are going to have 10 over 100 multiplied by 360, and we don't even need calculator because we know that these zeros will cut and it will be equivalent to 36 degrees. We also have 15 over 100 multiplied by 360, then 17.5 over 100 multiplied by 360, and finally we have 15 over 100 multiplied by 360. So it is each of these that we need to put into our calculators, which I'm going to do now. That I want to look at. Okay, for me, since I'm using this, I can say x divided by 100, then I want to be multiplying it by 360 just to put it. Then I'll ask you to calculate. Initially, when x is 35, what's that going to give me? 126. So this for food and drinks is 126 degrees. Okay, and then for fuel, x is 7.5. that will be 27. So this is 27 degrees. For 15, I can put it directly. If 7.5 is 27 degrees, 15 will be 2 times the value of 7.5, because 15 is 2 times 7.5, so this will be 54 degrees. You can check that to say we want to solve for 15 now. That's 54. Okay, we want to calculate when this is 17.5, so that is 63. So this is 63 degrees. Then 15, we have done that before, that is 54 degrees. But you need to ensure that all of this they will need to sum up to 360 degrees. So we can take our calculator to confirm that. Let me shift this a bit. So we can say we are looking at 126 plus 27 plus 36 plus 54 plus 63 plus 54. What is that? Okay, so this is good. We're on track, because the addition of everything should be the angle at a point, which is 360 degrees. So students, these are the values of degrees that we are going to be using to get our partial done. Okay, now you can make use of your protractor to mark up the angles, but as a rule of thumb, I think if you are good enough to estimate where that value is going to be, you can as well just mark it off and get it done as appropriate. At least you can use the understanding of the sum of angles on a line, then the sum of angles at a point, a right angle triangle, to get all of those. And that's what I'm going to be doing. For example, I know that angle on a line is 180 degrees, a right angle is 90. So if I'm to say I want to start like here, I want to commence here. So from here up, that will be 90. But then I have 126 as the portion for food and drink. 126 will be somewhere here, because I'm dividing the second quadrant into like 3. So I'm having this as like 126. 27 and 36, that will be like 63. Okay, if I'm adding 63 to 126, that is like 189. So I know 180 is angle on a straight line. If I'm looking for 189, I can just add a bit to that. So this portion is fuel and rent. Rent is much more than fuel, so let me divide. The bigger one will be rent, the smaller one will be fuel. You can use your protractor to just mark it up, but since it is a question embedded in other questions, you can just go ahead and mark it up like that. So here I have 54 in 2 places and I have 63. Now I'm coming at 100 and let's say 190 and 54. That should give me like 240. That is the case. I can just have maybe 50 should be coming somewhere here. That can be 54, and then I have 63, and then this is another 54 again. This 54 and this 54, they should be almost the same, so I can say these are almost the same. Then this is the biggest circle. So I'm just using that as a guide, and I can say here I will label appropriately. This is 126 degrees for food. You need to label correctly, food and drinks. Okay, and then next, this is 27 degrees, and that is for fuel. Then I have 36 degrees, and that is for his rent. Then I have building project. This is 54 degrees, and that is his building project. Once you are just consistent like this, you get your full mark. And then education, this is 63 degrees, and it's good that he's spending so much on his education. And then savings, here and say this is also 54 degrees, and this is his savings. And once I've done this, I'm good and done. My full mark will be awarded for me, and I'll be on the path to excellence. All right. Now in this third question, we are told that if his annual gross salary is $28,800 and he pays the tax of 12%, we have to calculate his monthly tax and the amount saved each month. Now when we are talking about his gross salary, that is amounting to 1 year, and that 1 year of course is 12 months, because 12 months make 1 year. So if you are now talking about 12% of his gross, that will be 12% of gross, which will be 12 over 100 multiplied by this value that we have here, $28,800. And if we use our calculator, 12 divided by 100 times 28,800, that's going to give us 3,456. So this is $3,456. Okay, and now if that is for 1 year, okay, because that is the gross. Now if we are to talk about his monthly tax, we need to be 1 over 12 of his gross tax. Okay, and that will be 1 over 12 multiplied by that 12% of this 28,800, which you got to be 3,456. This is the amount he's going to be paying per month. So our answer divided by 12, that's going to give us $288. So the amount being deducted from Mr. Okafor's money on a monthly basis for tax is nothing but $288. Now you want to look at his savings. Okay, already we have seen that the savings X we got to be 50% of his monthly salary. Okay, so that means what we are saying here is nothing but his savings will be 15 over 100 multiplied by what's going to be his monthly salary. If this is his gross salary, that will be 1 over 12 multiplied by this total amount that is being paid, but there is a caveat because he will need to deduct tax from it, and that tax for 1 full year is nothing but 3,456. I hope this is clear enough for you students. We are saying savings is 15%, which is x that will go to be 15% initially. So that is 15% of his monthly salary. But to get the monthly salary, we need to prorate this is annual gross salary to 1 month. And before we can do that, of course, he's going to pay tax of this amount for 1 full year. So we need to deduct that tax from that gross, which is here, and then divide by 12 so that we can take it to a month. Is the 15% of that amount that is going to give us his monthly savings. So this you can say we want to evaluate from the calculator. Let me place this correctly. I can say 15 over 1,200, 15 divided by 1,200 multiplied by 28,800 minus 3,456. Okay, what's that going to give us if you put it in decimal? 316.8. So this is nothing but $316.8 as the savings that is having every month. All right. Yeah, we have this question on graphical solution to trigonometric function, and we are asked to copy and complete the table of values for y is equal to 3 sin x plus 7 cos x for values of x ranging from 0 to 180 in an incremental value of 20 degrees, just as shown on this table. And we have some values already inputted there, so we can use that as a means to confirm if what we're doing is on the right track. Now, there are 2 methods that I'm going to show you students on how to solve this. First, we want to use this equation. Then in the other case, we want to generate the table of values directly from the calculator. So on the first count, we have 3 sin x. This is how you get x. Okay, it is alpha close bracket on this type of calculator, then plus 7 cos x, again alpha close bracket. And now you can solve for subsequent values of x by saying you are pressing calc, and then it's asking you the value for x so that you can solve for that. Now initially wants to take 0. I'm okay with that, and you can see it's telling us that when x is 0, the solution to this equation is 7, which is exactly what we have as given in the table here. Then you can do the other ones. When x is 20, then we have 7.6. So I can write 7.6 as the answer here, and this is nothing but 7.6. okay, now you can do that for subsequent values. Now alternatively, you can say you want to generate a table of values directly from the calculator if you are using a calculator that is enabled for that. In mode 7, you can see is synonymous to table, so I'm pressing 7. It's asking me for the function of x, which I'm concerned about it. That is this equation. So I have 3 sine x plus 7 cos x. Okay, that is the equation. It's asking me if there's any other equation. So we have f of x, again g of x, but there's no other equation here, and we can just move on. Then what is going to be the start value? Here we have 0 as the start value. What's going to be the end value? We have 180 degrees, not 5, so I can put 180 degrees. And then what is the step, the incremental value? You can see that it is 20, like 100 to 120, 120 to 140, and so on. So I can say that is 20 degrees. Then I can ask it to generate the table. And you can see here it's saying that when x is 0, f of x is 7, just like we have as given in the table. When x is 20, f of x is 7.6, which we just got. When x is 40, f of x is 7.29. But if you notice, we are being given our options in 1 decimal place, so we also need to round this up to 1 decimal place. So this will be 7.3. So you can just do that to just go ahead and input all of the values, whichever method you find suitable. So then just go ahead with that. I'm just going to fill in this table right about now. Okay, so if you are consistent with the way to do that, you get this table of values. And notice that we have completed everything to 1 decimal place in consistency with the values that were given 7.0, 4.2, and minus 0.9. We are given a scale as 2 centimeters to represent 20 degrees on the x-axis and 2 centimeters to represent 2 units on the y-axis. Now we have to find the value of y when x is 150 degrees. Then we have to get the range of values of x for which y is greater than 0. So that is all the question there is to it. Quite straightforward. And we'll do well to try and see how to centralize our graph in this particular case. We are saying that y is taking its range of values from 7 to minus 7. So that is quite symmetrical. We can just confirm from that that the x-axis should be at the middle, because there is a total number of division 7 on the positive and minus 7 on the negative for y. Okay, that is good. Then how do we place x? We can see that x is starting its value from 0 and ending at 180 degrees. So we don't need any negative values of x. We can just start that here, so that if this is 0, we are taking incremental values of 20. We have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 10. I think this is good. So this place can be the center of our graph, and that's what we're going to be doing just right about now. Okay, so in keeping with consistency with what we just explained, this is how our axes are going to look like, in which on the y-axis we have 2 centimeters, which is the difference between each of the tick boxes from 0 here to here. That's 2 centimeters. On the y-axis it is taking 2 units, so we have 2 units as incremental value. And on the x-axis, 2 centimeters from here to here is taking 20 degrees, so we have 20, 40, 60, and that is as good as it gets. What is left for us to do now is just to extrapolate those values. When x is 0, y is 7, so we have x here is 0, y is 7. 7 will be directly between 6 and 8, so here that is the point of interest. Okay, when x is 20 degrees, y is 7.6, so 20, in short, all the values of x are directly on the thick lines. We only need to be concerned about the values of y. So x is 20, y is 7.6. How do we get 7.6? We know that from 6 to 8 here, these 2 centimeters are representing 10 boxes, and those 10 boxes take values from 6 to 2, that is 2. That means each small box is going to take 0.2, so that we have 6, 6.2, 6.4, 6.6, 6.8, 7. Then moving on like that, we have 7.2, 7.4, 7.6. So that is where we are going to consider, and in that particular case, we just take that value of 7.6 and try and trace to the point where we will meet the 20 coming from the x-axis, and then we'll be concerned about this point of intersection. This is what we are going to be doing for every other one. I just took time to explain this. So students, you can just practice this so that you can replicate as appropriate. That's 7.6 and 20. Okay. So if you do that correctly, those are the points that you have, and you can go ahead to say you want to get the best fit joining all of these points together. So if you extrapolate the point quite correctly and you use your French curve or your broomstick to join all the points, you are going to get something like this as a line of best fit. So with that, we've been able to answer that question, and maybe it will be good for you to just label this graph of the equation y is equal to 3 sine x plus 7 cos x. Okay. So sometimes people tend to just write their scale also on this. That is a very good practice. So in our next question, we have to get the value of y when x is 150 degrees. So if we look at the graph, this is the x. 150 is between 140 and 160. So we are looking at this location. Okay, that location is a point of interest for us. And if we are to trace to the curve, we'll have something like this. So at the point of meeting the curve, we can trace to the y-axis, and looking at that, this is our point of interest here. And if you are looking critically, this will be minus 4, minus 4.2, minus 4.4, and then minus 4.6. So the value of y when x is 150 degrees from the graph is nothing but y is equal to minus 4.6. Now you can use your calculator to also try and evaluate that. Okay, you can say, and let's go back to our normal computer mode. What we're using initially is we are saying that 3 sine x, 3 sine x. Okay, you can just use this as a means of confirming, plus 7 cos x. So you want to calculate what's the value of x. We are looking at 150 degrees, and we try and solve that. This is the answer, but in decimal place. Okay, this is minus 4.5621, which is approximately minus 4.6. So we are quite on track with this particular solution. All right. So now finally, we want to get the range of values of x for which y is greater than 0. That means we are looking at regions here. Okay, you can see those are the positive values of y. So within this boundary, that's what we are interested in looking at. And we can see that it is from x being 0 to this point, nose diving into the negative value range. And if you are observant, you can see that this is here, that is 0 less than or equal to x. And what is this particular value here? This is 100, this is 120. Directly in between them is 110. And then if we have two subunits for each of the small boxes, we have 112, and this is like in between 112 and 114. You can say 113. Okay, so we can say it's like 113, and then this region is what we can look at to say that is the answer. That this is how we write it, student. You said x defined in such a way that 0 degree is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 113 degrees, and defining like this, that region that we identify as 0 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 113 degrees. And with this, our question is done and dusted, and we are good to go on our way to excellence. Here in this question of statistics, we are told that this table is showing the distribution of ages of a number of children in a school, and if the mean distribution is 7, so we have the mean distribution as 7, we should know that we are to find the value of x, this x that is featuring here, and the standard deviation of their ages. In this first case, for us to find the value of x, we can see that we are given the mean distribution, and that mean distribution is an expression of the fact that we are finding the average of the data set, and that will be summation fx over summation f, where x is the data set, and in this case that x will have to be the age of those children, the age of each of the children, and the frequency, the occurrence value, the times that the ages occur will have to be the frequency. So that is what we are going to use in this case. And if we are to make use of that particular video, we have been given that mean distribution is 7, so it's going to be the summation of the product of the frequency and the data set fx. So we can multiply each of these column, which is corresponding to f multiplied by x. So if you want to do that, 3 times 2, that is 6, plus 4 times 6 is 24, plus 5 times 5, that is 25, plus 6 times x, we can leave that as 6x. 7 times 6, that will be 42. 8 times 9 is 72. 9 times 8 is another 72. Then 10 times 5, that is 50. So we are saying all of these, which is summation of fx, we are dividing with the sum of the frequencies, and those frequencies will amount to 2 plus 6 here, okay, plus 5 plus x. We still have as a variable there, plus 6 plus 9 plus 8 and plus 5. So our task is to simplify this such that we can say 7, or we can say 7 over 1, which is also 7, is equal to the sum of all of this, which you can use a calculator to evaluate, okay. So you can have 6 plus 24 plus 25 plus, let's leave 6x, okay, plus 42 plus 72 in 2 places, and then plus 50. What's that going to give us? This 291. So we have this as 291 plus the 6x that we just left divided by the sum of all of these. 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 5 is 13. We are still leaving that x. 13 plus 6, 19, plus 9, 28, plus 8, 36, and plus 5, that will be 41. Then plus the x that we have left initially. So yeah, we can just say our work can be simplified if we just choose to cross multiply this particular expression, so that we have 7 multiplied by 41 plus x is equal to 291 plus 6x. Okay, so 7 times 41, that will be 281. 7 times 41, that will be 287, plus 7 times x is 7x, is equal to 291 plus 6x. So if we just collect the like terms, we can see that let's subtract 6x from both sides. We have 7x minus 6x is equal to, because here this 6x minus 6x will be 0. And let's subtract 287 from both sides. 287 leaving here will be just leaving that blank. So we have it to be 291 minus 287. Therefore, holistically, 7x minus 6x is x, and then 291 minus 287, that will be 4. So the value of our solution is going to be 4, and we can check. 291 plus 6x will be 291 plus 6x will be, if x is 4, that will be plus 24. That's 315. Okay, 41 plus x will be, that will be 45. So we can say this 315 divided by 45, what's that going to give us? 7. So we are quite on track to get the value of x as 4. Then we can move on to find the standard deviation of the ages of this student. Okay, so in the second part of this question, for us to get the standard deviation of the ages of these children, normally we can make use of any of these two equations. Now I'm going to be making use of these. Students, you can try your hands on this, but know that your table will be slightly different, because you need to get each of the difference between the entry value and the mean, and then you have to find the square. So you need to find x minus x bar, then the square of x minus x bar, then the product of f and difference between the two raised to power 2. You just need to complete your table appropriately, okay? But now I'm going to be sticking with this. You can verify to see that eventually we'll arrive at the same answer. We got the value of x, which is returning as the frequency for the age of 6 to be 4. So this is 4, so that the addition of the frequencies will be, initially we got 41. So we have 41 plus 4, summation f will have to be 45. Okay, so let's look at the other parameters that we need to reflect. These are the values of x. What will be x squared? 3 raised to power 2 will be 9, 4 raised to power 2 16, and we can just fill the other ones just like that. Okay, and so once we have that, we can now find the product of f and the square of this x. So 2 times 9, that will be 18. 6 times 16, let's use our calculator. 6 times 16, 96. So this will be 96. 5 times 25 is 125. 4 times 36 will be 72 times 2, that's 144. Then 100 times 5, that will be 500. Such that we can look at the sum of all of these to say we want to have 18 plus 96 plus 125 plus 144 plus 294, just summing everything together, plus 576, ensuring there's no mistake, plus 648, and then plus 500. What's that going to give us? 2401. So this is 2401, and we have all the other parameters that we have. Mean we're given as 7, so we can say conclusively our standard deviation following this second formula will be the square root of all the summation fs square, it is 2401, over what is the summation f, that is 45, minus the square of our mean, that's 7, and we can square that. Okay, so let's have our calculator at hand. 2401 divided by 45, so what's that going to give us? 53.35. So this bar means that it's a repeated 5, 35555. So we have square root of 53.3556 minus 7 raised to the power 2 is 49. So we can say the answer that we just got minus 49, that's 4.3335. So we can just put in our answer and say, okay, square root of this answer now, the square root of the answer we got finally. So this will be 2.0869. I can say 2.087. Okay, so this is, we're not asked to give it in any decimal, so I can just say this is 2.087 as the standard deviation for this data set that we are giving. Students, try your hands on this and see if you are going to also get the same answer as what we got here. But if you are consistent, definitely our answer will be the same. In this question on polygons, we are told that the exterior angles of a polygon are given as all of this, and now if x is 7 degrees less than y, we have to find the values of x and y. Let's take this statement and try and interpret that. That means that if we add 7 to x, that is going to give us y, or you can choose to say that y minus 7 is x. These two actually interpretation of this, and either of them will earn you the correct thing and you'll be on your way to solving it. So that's the very first thing I'm noticing. And then we have the fact that we are talking about the exterior angles of a polygon, and for you to be able to solve this, you need to understand that the sum of the exterior angles of a polygon is going to give us 360 degrees. And if you are understanding this fact, then we know that we have this as a first equation in 2 variables, and then since x and y are featuring in all of these exterior angles, we can sort them to 360 degrees to give us the second equation, and we'll be able to solve it straight and direct, meaning that we can have 42 plus 38 plus 57, then plus x plus y, then plus 2x minus 15, and finally plus 3x minus y. Everything is going to give us 360 degrees as a result of the postulate that the sum of the exterior angles of a polygon is 360 degrees. So we can do it to just bring in our calculator to try and evaluate all of this. Okay, so we have 42 plus 38 plus 57, and then okay, we can just subtract 15 straight, minus 15, and that's all. Okay, so we have this as 122. So we can say we have 122. Then if you have to look at the x, we have x plus x, that is 2x, plus 2x, that's 4x, plus 3x, that is 7x. But for the y, we can see that this is plus y, this is minus y. So y is out of this particular equation. We can sum this to 360 degrees such that we can say 7x is equal to 360 minus 122. And that's going to give us what? The answer we just got, or let me just say 360 minus 122. So that's 238. This is 238. Therefore, x is going to be 238 over 7 and divided by 7. This is 34. So the value of x is nothing but 34 degrees. But from equation 1, which we have written initially, we can see that y is equal to x plus 7, and that will be 34 plus 7. 34 plus 7 is nothing but 41 degrees. So we can say from our understanding of the statement that we're giving and the fact that sum of exterior angles of a polygon is 360, we have our x to be 34 degrees while y is gotten as 41 degrees. This is the solution to this question. In this question on circle theorems, we are told that in the diagram, O is the center of the circle x, y, z. So we have x, y, z. This circle, O is the center. An angle ZXO, ZXO was given as 34 degrees, and angle XOY, XOY was given as 146 degrees. Our mandate is to find angle OYZ. So let's try and identify angle OYZ, OYZ. So this angle here is the angle of interest. So first, I want to say that I want to use alphabet X for that. So I will say let angle OYZ, let it be X, okay? Then from this particular diagram, let's try and use our understanding of circle theorems and circle geometry to see how we can find this angle S. First, we know that this, from the center of the circle to the circumference, that is the radius. This is also the radius. This is also the radius. You can see each one of them is from the center of the circle to a point on the circumference. So I can say that line OZ is also line OX. That's also line OY. And that is radius of the circle. Is the radius of this particular circle we are talking about here. That's 1. If that is the case, that means that triangle OZY is actually an isosceles triangle. You can see this is one side of the triangle, this is another side of the triangle, and in that case, that means this particular angle is also going to be X. So I can say furthermore, angle OYZ, which we are looking for, is the same as angle OZY, and that is also X. And why am I saying this? Is because they are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Okay, base angles of isosceles triangle are equal, and they are isosceles because two of the sides are equal. Then the base angles are also going to be equal. Okay, so that being that, the same principle is also applying to this triangle OXZ. There, I can also say that angle ZXO, this angle here, which we are given as 34, is also equal to angle OZX, and that is also going to be 34 degrees because they are also base angles of an isosceles triangle. This isosceles triangle OXZ. Okay, so if that is the case, I can say this angle here is also 34 degrees. And then interestingly, I think my work is getting almost done because I can see that here, looking at this angle, from the understanding of the fact that the angle subtended by an arc at the circumference at the one at the center, they are related to one another. So I can say angle XOY, this angle 146 that we are giving here, okay, I can say that angle is equal to 2 times angle XZY, this angle that I'm having here. And why am I saying that? Is because the angle subtended at center of a circle is twice the angle subtended at circumference. So I'm just using shorthand here. Just the explanation is what you need, which I have stated already. So therefore, I can say this angle 146 XOY is equal to 2 multiplied by angle XZY. And what is angle XZY? You can see that it's a combination of this 34 and X. So I can say that is equal to 34 plus x. So if I open up this bracket, I'm going to have 2x plus 2 times 34 will be 68 is equal to 146. Therefore, 2x will be 146 minus 68. So in that case, I have 2x to be 146 minus 68. 146 minus 68. That's 78. And then, in that case, I will just divide both sides by 2. X will be 78 over 2, and that will be 39 degrees. So, the understanding of circle theorems and the properties of triangles, in this particular case, isosceles triangle, had helped us to solve this question holistically. And so then notice, this is not the only way you can go about trying to solve this question. And you can try to lay your hands on such, and you see that eventually we also arrive at the same answer, that x, which is angle OYZ, is nothing but 39 degrees. Here in this question on probability, we are told that the probability that an athlete will not win any of the 3 races is 1/4. So we need to know that we are talking about the probability of him not winning. That means this is the probability of him losing the race. Okay, so we are being told that if the athlete runs in all the races, what is the probability that the athlete in the first case will win only the second race, then the second place, all the 3 races, and in the third case only 2 of the races. This is quite interesting, and we'll just interpret the question on the fly. In the first case, before we even dabble into that, let's look at this interpretation that we're having. Probability of him not winning means that his probability of loss is what we are given, and we're given as 1/4. Okay, then we know, because of the unitary nature of probability of him winning will have to be 1 minus the probability of him losing. Okay, and that probability of him losing we were given as 1/4. So the probability that is going to win is 3/4. Okay, so we have probability to lose is 1/4, probability to win is 3/4. So we can now go ahead into our very first question, that is going to win only the second race. That means that in the first case is going to lose. In the second case, and because in this particular case we are considering 3 cases, we are going to multiply. In the second case is going to win, and then in the third case is going to lose. So this is the probability that is only to win only the second race, and that is as featured there. That is the only one that is winning. Once you're able to get this, you will be on your way to Xing this question, and that will give us 1/4 multiplied by 3/4, which is the probability of him winning, multiplied by 1/4, the probability of him losing the third race. So if you are to compute this will be 1 times 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 4 is 16, times 4, that is 64. That is the probability of him winning only the second race. Okay, so interestingly, in the second case, the probability of him winning all the 3 races, it means that he's going to win the first race, then he's also going to win the second race, and then he's going to win the third race. Okay, so in this case we just have 3/4 for the first, 3/4 for the second, and in the third case we're also having 3/4. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 that is 27, and then 4 times 4 times 4, we just got that initially to even be 64. Now in the third case, we are considering the case in which the athlete will win only 2 of the races. There are 3 races that we are talking about here, so we need to be careful. We are going to say probably of winning only 2 of the races will be, let's say in the first case he loses the first one, then in that case he's going to win second and then win the third. But this is not the only case, so this is just one of the instances that we can have. So is either this is the case, or an or in probability we warrant that we are talking about addition. Okay, and then the combination again now is going to win the first one, okay, but he will lose the second one while he's going to win the third one. So students, this is the critical thing that you need to be careful of here. Okay, and then we have another third instance in which in this particular case it's going to win the first 2 and lose the third one. So we have probability of win multiplied by probability of win then multiply by the probability of losing. Okay, so these are the 3 instances that we can consider for him to win only 2 of the races. And interestingly, we have gotten all of those probability. In the first case, we are going to have probability of losing, that will be 1 over 4 multiplied by 3 over 4 multiplied by 3 over 4, okay, plus in the second case, winning, that is going to be 3 over 4, and then losing 1 over 4, winning again, the third one, 3 over 4, and then finally we are going to have winning 3 over 4, another win 3 over 4, and now a loss 1 over 4. So you can see that this is just the replica of the same entity. So you can say this is nothing but 3 multiplied by 1 over 4 times 3 over 4 multiplied by 3 over 4. And looking at this, it's just like saying we have 3 times 1, 3 times 3, 9 times 3, that is 27. And then 4 times 4 times 4, that is 64. So it's the same probability as a case in which he's winning all of the 3 races. So this is the breakdown of what you need, students, and once you're able to get this done, you are good to go and your full marks are assured. Okay. In this question on mensuration, we are told that a cone with perpendicular height 24 centimeters has a volume of 1,200 centimeter cube. We are to find the volume of a cone with the same base radius but an height of 84 centimeters. The value of pi is 22 over 7, and this is a pictorial view of what we're talking about. And if we want to include the parameters that we are given, it is just as shown that this one with height of 24 centimeters is having a volume of 1,200 centimeter cube, and this one with the height of 84 centimeters is having an unknown volume which you have to find, but they share the same radius. So I think there are basically 2 means that you can go about trying to solve this. You can actually look at this smaller cone that we have and you can find the radius, then use the radius in this second one to find the volume. But that's not what I'm going to be doing. What we know that the general formula for the volume of a cone is giving us 1 over 3 pi r square h, okay. And now we are having a particular smaller cone. We have its volume, okay, 1,200 centimeter cube, and then the r is there, but we have its h1 to be 24 centimeters. All right, in the second case, we are looking for the volume of the bigger cone. The same radius is what we are looking at here, and we are having the height of the second one to be 84 centimeters. If you bring in your understanding of variation into this particular case, you can see that we have pi to be common to both of them, and we also have the radius. These two, they are common to both of them. So if I'm also to include this 1 over 3, and I'm going to take that as a constant of proportionality, I can say all of this I regard as k, such that I have the v is equal to kh, and then I can say k, which is the constant, is v over h. And what I'm saying inherently is that v1 over h1 is the same as v2 over h2. So to solve this, you can say we just want to cross multiply such that v2 is going to be v1 h2 over h1. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to get if you cross multiply. And we have all of these parameters given already. v1, we have it as 1,200 centimeter cube. Okay, then h2, now you need to be careful, it's h2 not h1. h2 is 84, and then h1 was given as 24 centimeters. So this is what we just need to impute to the calculator, and we'll get the value of v2 to be, let's bring our calculator down. Okay, so you can say we have 1,200 multiplied by 84 but divided by 24. What's that going to give us? 4,200. So the volume of this particular second cone is nothing but 4,200 centimeter cube. So if you take the other route, first we find r, then use r in this particular case. Since the radius of the base, they are the same, you are going to see that you will arrive at the same answer. But I think your understanding of mathematics should prompt you to be able to use this, and you get your full marks just as you will get in the other case. This is a question on Mensuration in which we are told that the diameter of a cylinder closed at both ends is 7 cm. If the total surface area is 209 cm square, we are to find the height of that cylinder. This is the picture that is worth 1,000 words explaining what we are given in the question. And we are giving, what we need to notice that diameter is what we are given, not the radius. But by reason of understanding, we know that radius is actually diameter over 2, and this will be 7 over 2. So the radius for this particular cylinder is nothing but 3.5 centimeters. Okay, now we are given the total surface area as 209, but what is the formula for total surface area of a cylinder? The total surface area of a cylinder, just as in this case, is nothing but 2 pi r multiplied by h plus r. Okay, that value we have been given as 209 centimeters square in this particular case. But what are we looking for? We are looking for the height of the cylinder, and for us to get the height of the cylinder from here, I think we'll do it to make h the formula. You can plug in your values. You know the TSA 209, you know r 3.5, you know pi 20 over 7, but I love to make h the formula. So I can say in this particular case, if I divide through by 2 pi r, I will have h plus r is equal to the total surface area over 2 pi r. Okay, now if I just subtract r from both sides, I can say that means that h that I'm looking for is the total surface area over 2 pi r, then minus r. So this is what I'm going to be using, so that I can say my h is, what's the total surface area? That is 209. Okay, divided by 2 pi r will be 2 pi is 22 over 7. Okay, r I just got as 7 over 2. Okay, then minus that r again, 7 over 2. So this is what I just need to compute, and I can start cutting that. This 7 can cut here, this 2 will cut it. So I have 209 over 22. My h is going to be 209 over 22 minus 7 over 2. Okay, if I want to find the LCM, I can just say I'm having this as 22, and 209 minus 22 over 2 is 11. 11 times 7, that is 77. So I'm going to have, this is 2, 20 minus 7, that will be 13. So 132 over 22 is going to be the height of this cylinder. Now let me use my calculator. Okay, I have 132 divided by 22. What's that going to give me? This is nothing but 6 centimeters. So the height of the cylinder is 6 centimeters, and even if you plug in your values directly, you also arrive at the same answer as this. In this question on angle of elevation and depression, we are told that point x and y, which are 90 meters apart, are on the same side of a tree. Then the angles of elevation of the top T of the tree from x and y on the horizontal ground with the foot of the tree are 43 degrees and 38 degrees respectively. First, we have to illustrate the information, and then we have to find the height of the tree correct to 1 decimal place. This is how that particular tree in question is going to be looking. Okay, so we can see we are looking at the point T, which is at the top of the tree, but then we are looking at the point x and y, which are away from the tree on the same side, but with angle of elevation 43 and 38 degrees respectively. That means x is taking 43, y is taking 38. Now if you are just to look at some random points, so you can look at this, let's say this particular point, that this is our x, and this particular point, let's say this is our y. So in this case, we can say we want to join this from x to t, just as shown, and then from y to t, just as shown. Now students, you don't need to actually show the tree. I'm just using this for the sake of explanation. This is going to be the height of the tree because it's just vertical, and then once we have that, we can join the base together to say we have something like this. Okay, so our diagram is out. We can go away with that diagram. This is what I expected to draw. Maybe I can call this point the base of the tree, so let me call that B, and definitely that's going to make a right angle with the ground. The ground will be taken as horizontal. Okay, given as horizontal ground. So having this, we can just include our angles as that. Here this angle is 43, so we have 43 degrees, and this angle was given as 38 degrees. Okay, and then we have to find the height h of the tree. The distance between x and y we are told is 19 meters apart, so we have this as 19 meters. I can call the distance between this base of the tree and point x. Let me just call that a. Okay, so with this, I've answered the very first part of the question, which is to illustrate the information. Then in the second part, for me to find the height of this particular tree, which is h as identified there, that's line BT. I can say I want to make use of SOHCAHTOA to understand this question, because from what I'm seeing here is definitely a right angle triangle, and I can use the trick identity SOHCAHTOA to solve this. H that I'm looking for is going to be the opposite to angle 43. Interestingly, is also the opposite to angle 38. So I'm having opposite. And what are the other variables that I know? The other parameters, I know this base, which is the adjacent. So I have the opposite, I have the adjacent, I have the opposite, I have the adjacent. I'm seeing two triangles already. So I can say on trig identity from triangle, let me say first from triangle TBX, I can readily see that this is the opposite h. I have the adjacent. So tangent is what is relating that. I can say tan 43, which is the angle at x for triangle TBX. This angle 43 here is equal to the opposite, which is h, over the adjacent. The adjacent here is a. Okay, so I can just say therefore h itself is a tan 43. Okay, this is something I need to note. Then from the other triangle TBY, from triangle TBY, again is tangent that is relating the opposite to the adjacent, but now we're looking at tan 38 is also equal to the opposite, which is h, over, now the adjacent in this place is the combination of a and 19. You can see from the base of the tree to the point y. So I'm having a plus 19 meters, such that in this second case the height of the tree is a plus 19 tan 38 in this particular case. Interestingly, this is giving me two unknowns, and I have two equations. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. So now this means that I have these two simultaneous equations that I can choose to solve by any method of solving simultaneous equation. But for me, I think I will equate them, because this is h on the left hand side, this is also h. So I can just equate it together to say, in the first case, I have a tan 43, and then on the right hand side, let me just open up the bracket. It's going to be a tan 38, okay, then plus 19 tan 38, 19 tan 38. Okay, so here I can just choose to collect like terms, a being on one side, the other one being on the other side. Here, if I bring a tan 38 to the other side, a is common to both, so I will have a into tan 43 minus tan 38 is equal to, here I will have 19 tan 38 remaining. So interestingly, I can just say a in this case is nothing but 19 tan 38. Student, if you are confused with what I just did there, you can get your hands dirty and just lay your hand on it. You see that this is eventually what you are going to get also. That tan 43 minus tan 38. So this I can choose to input in the calculator to find the value of the distance between the base of the tree and point x. So we want to express, let me use fraction so that I will not get confused. 19 tan 38, okay, that is the numerator, and the denominator I have tan 43 minus tan 38. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. So let me make sure that I close this bracket so that it's not associating this second one with the first tan 43. So we have tan 43 minus tan 38, 19 tan 38 as the numerator. So what is that? 98.1583, 98.1583 meters. But nobody asks us to find a. Okay, this is just the value for a, the distance between the base of the tree and point x, what we have to find is height h, and that height h, we can use any of these two equations, either the first one or the second one, to solve that. So I'm going to be clearing my board to just get that out as appropriate now, right? So having gotten the value of a, I can now say h is going to be, from the first equation, a tan 43 will become 98.1583 tan 43. Okay, so the height of the tree, as we are asked to obtain, will be the answer we just got, tan 43. Okay, so what's that? 91.534. So add this as 91.534. But look at our question. We're asked to find it correct to one decimal place. So after the decimal, we are taking the first digit, which is 5. 3 will be inconsequential because it's not up to 5, that we could have rounded up to 1 and add to that digit we are considering. So this is approximately 91.5 meters as the height of this tree that we are asked to find originally. And with this, we can say we are good to go. We've been able to solve this question and solve it as requested to get the height of the tree as nothing but 91.5 meters. And with that, we've come to the end of this beautiful journey in which we took our time to look at all of the questions from the 2022 May-June WAEC WASSCE mathematics question paper. And we want to believe that you have found this video useful. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with your friends, share with your loved ones, and also support us. Join our membership tiers, and particularly you can also sponsor these videos and many of the other videos that we have in stock. And we believe that with all this and with God on your side, all your quests for excellence will surely become a reality. It's DaveTuts Academy. Until next time, God bless you.